Hello, listeners. Welcome back to Uncontested Investing. Today, I'm thrilled to have Chris Branchetti, Vice President of BCHH Title, sitting down with me. Chris has been pivotal in shaping BCHH's vision and strategic direction. He boasts a proven track record in private lending, MLS transactions, and handling SFR property portfolios of all different sizes. I'm excited about this conversation, so let's dive into the episode. Welcome to another episode of Uncontested Investing. Today, I have the pleasure of sitting across from Chris Branchetti, the Vice President at BCHH. Chris, you've got some impressive longevity in the industry, and we'll get to that. But initially, what attracted you to being in this industry?
So, Nate, thanks for having me. And, after two decades, I've had a lot of opportunity achieving both successes and, experiencing shortfalls and failures. But it's the mentorship that I've had over the years that has really allowed for me to stay connected, continue to grow, and continue learning. And that's always presented a challenge for me. And my approach in this industry has always been, act as a corporate athlete, always trying to put points on the board and win.
So do you have an athletic background stemming from that? Did you play in college or in high school?
Another lifetime ago, played a little bit of college baseball.
Oh, nice. What position?
Played outfield.
Hey, okay. What university, if you don't mind me asking?
So I went to start out at Penn State, and I transferred down to Francis Marion University in South Carolina.
Very cool. So what can you remember from the baseball diamond that has really allowed you to succeed today? I know you talked a little bit about the mentality of an athlete, but is there anything from like a skill set, being able to work with teams, being able to kind of adapt to a plan B? Is there anything that sticks out from your baseball playing days that has really helped you in this industry?
I think grind, staying disciplined, and teamwork. I think those are the three things today that I carry with myself and also try to foster into others as well. Employees that report, managers, and even individuals I may cross paths with.
Yeah. And you mentioned at the onset, you talked about some mentors that have helped you along the way. But with 20 years in the industry, a lot of that success has come from you yourself. So can you maybe talk about your journey all the way up to where you are now, Vice President? Is nothing to scoff at by any means. It's an impressive title. So, I'm sure there was a lot of hard days of work, lots of long nights that went into where you are now. Can you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, I appreciate that. But, I still got to go back to the mentorship and teamwork. Those two particular areas has helped me to achieve a lot of successes. I go back to being with one of the largest underwriters in the country. Had a lot of opportunity there that consisted of learning how to scale an operation over an 8-year period, going from 2,000 orders, 5,000 orders to 10,000 transactions on a monthly basis, working with some of the largest lending institutions and big banks in the country, being able to pull together 10,000 agents under a post-acquisition underwriter to help that underwriter be more sufficient across the country, and then also having that opportunity to participate in the Malcolm Baldrige Quality Award program back in really early in my career, where the pillars of excellence consisted of leadership, strategy, customer focus, things that were all important that you carry with today and manage that framework.
Yep. That really set the foundation for you then, for sure. So BCHH, for those unfamiliar, right now it's 4 random letters, but can you give us the story and the background of that company and what it means to you?
So I got to BCHH in 2016. It established itself in 2007 as a national title agency, predominantly focused in the refinance, consumer lending. And when I got there in 2016, I saw an opportunity there that had something to work with. There was we had a very efficient sales leader there that was carrying the load. We had a little bit of a different diversification of business. We had some small default work there, which I had some experience there at a previous stop, and then also we had a small book of business of institutional investor. So it allowed for me to take a step back and say, okay, how can I fit myself into this organization with my experiences and then how can we create success, and then in what timeline can we do that in?
So you played a big role in that company growing, expanding, succeeding. What were some of the characteristics that the company maybe already had, or ones that you saw you needed to instill in the company to kind of take them to that next level? You mentioned they had achieved success, but from the 8 years that you've been there now, they've risen to another level.
Vision. I think it was vision, and then having a plan. You see where you want to get to, and then planning how to get there. And then the most important thing is the team. It's establishing individuals around you that can bring value, you can collaborate with, you can foster and engage in success. And the nice thing there is we all hold each other accountable in terms of, what's got to be done next, how fast are we doing it. So those are the things that I saw that was missing. What was already there, a very strong client base. One of our senior sales leader there has really great relationships with the existing base of clients. So that gave me comfortability that there was not going to be any failures in terms of dramatic downsizing and things like that. So it just gave me comfortability that, hey, we have a base, we have something to work from, and then we can continue to grow and build.
Awesome. Our listeners know this, but I ask these questions through the lens of a real estate investor, and I think your answer there was extremely important to hear, the vision and the plan, right? It's one thing to go to work every day and complete a task or do your job, for lack of a better term, but without that goal, that carrot at the end of the stick, or the vision long term, you can kind of just spin your wheels and stay stuck in neutral. So I imagine you having that vision and that plan was a very important part of taking a successful company to the next level. So very cool to hear that insight and the difference between the two, really.
Thank you.
One of the things that your company is working on right now, though, is the SOC 2 certification. Yes. Can you kind of just elaborate on what that is and the importance of achieving that?
So we are SOC certified, but service organizational controls, very important to how you operate your business. It's designed to review the internal controls in the operation of how you're managing the security of information, also the processing integrity of what you do, your data privacy, your availability, and those all are very important to make sure that you have protection in terms of how you're managing the business and the security of information. There's a lot of data breaches, and they're happening. There's, not saying any by name, but 2 major underwriters out there were breached in the past 1 year. So I think that will come more rampant in the months and years to come. But I think when you are SOC certified, I think that helps to be able to ensure that you are operating your business effectively. So right now, today, we're SOC 2 Type 1 certified, and we're presently going through the stress test of the Type 2 to make sure that all the controls we put in place are being effectively managed.
Nice. So I imagine a lot of work goes into that, right? You have your day-to-day goals and, handling of responsibilities, but this SOC certification sounds extremely important and valuable to you as a company. So what work goes into that? You mentioned some stress tests. How long is that process? Just kind of, peel back in the layers there and tell us what all that entangles, because that seems very important.
Yeah, I appreciate the question. I went into BCHH. That's always been a goal of mine to run an organization and be SOC certified. As I mentioned, I started in 2016. We started working on this in 2017, and we did it through trial and error, meaning that we understood the framework of the SOC certification. We mapped that out. The trial and error came from anytime there was a mistake, anytime there was a shortfall. We learned from that by documenting a policy and a control within our organization. And then we identified the task holder and who was going to communicate that. And then we just managed it year after year. So it was a build it. They say you build it, they will come. Mm-hmm. So it really took us almost 5 years to build into a position of, hey, we think now we are ready to apply for SOC certification. And we did that roughly around 2021 for the purpose of, we knew we were putting ourselves in a position to set us up for acquisition. And I thought that was very important to have, one, the SOC certification, and B, having certified financials. That kind of puts you in a position that people or other larger institutions will start taking you more serious, that you're a serious player out there in the market. So we actually went through the process of the SOC certification, and then it took us about 14 months between myself, 2 other team members who were very instrumental in getting it done. Can't thank them both enough. And we submitted it, got approved, got the certification, and then today now we're going through the stress testing, which is the firm going through each of the controls that we have that are documented to ensure we have a level of consistency and scalability there.
Okay, yeah. That seems very important. Lots of legwork goes into that. So one of the buzzwords you hit within those answers was fraud. So for fellow peers and coworkers that are maybe in the title and settlement services industry, or just for real estate investors and brokers in general, fraud, as you said, is rampant. What are some of the practices that you feel can set people up for success to avoid fraud at all costs? Because with the technology, it can kind of come at you from all different angles.
Well, first, I'll tell you, being a title industry professional, buy title insurance, because it comes with a level of protection of forgery, right? Yep. But I think the most important thing to consider when you're in the business of moving money, so we have 18, 19 escrow accounts, and when you're in the business of moving money and managing other people's money, you have to have a level of protection to ensure that where you're sending the money is accurate. So wire fraud, that is a real big risk that I don't think a lot of people realize how important it is until it actually happens. So we've engaged with some outside firms, identifying how we can put in place a level of encryption that allows an end user that's receiving money that the account that we're sending it to is legitimate. That's by validating the bank name on the account number, routing number. And then it gives you a pass or fail. Comes back green or comes back pass, we'll send you money. If it does not, we're not sending any money. We'll give you a second chance. Yeah. And if it doesn't come back, then you got to get a check. But I think that's one of the most important things. And I think outside of the wire fraud, you got to look at data. You got to look at data security. That these hackers and scammers, they want information, and that's all they want, because they want to do something with it. So, you internal, you got to have the trainings in place to ensure that you're educating your staff on the phishing scams, the links that could really bring that breach into your environment, right? Which can shut down your business ultimately.
So for you at BCHH, it appears that you run the gamut when it comes to client types. You have your private lenders, your institutional investors. There's some other players in there as well. So what characteristics should they be looking for when they're looking at title and settlement services? And I'm sure at BCHH, it's what you guys already embody, but what are some key factors that everybody should be looking for out there?
Yeah, appreciate the question. So I'll say this: reliability, scalability, and consistency. Those are 3 things that I feel are paramount when I'm sitting across the table for a customer and what we do well. And what I feel that private lenders, institutional investors, anybody out there that's transacting business on a national scale, you got to look at your risk. You got to look at your third party, who you're doing business with. Look at your vendor management program. If you don't have a vendor management program, establish one. And then when you bring on a vendor, look to establish to ensure that they have the SOC certifications, that they're managing their business appropriately and effectively. I think there's too much in what I have found and experienced, especially with private lenders, which is a concern. We talked about it this week at the MPLA, which was that a lot of the private investors for origination are bringing their own title company. Well, a lot of these title companies are small mom and pops that are in the local market. And I think if the private lenders or even institutions on the investor side that are acquiring, you have to look who you're doing business with. How can you centralize your model? How can you reduce your risk? If you're able to do those things, you will create an efficiency within your business that centralizes that efficiency so you can produce more. Your teams and your sales will originate more, make more money, which that's why we're all in the business.
For sure. Well, from just 15 minutes of our initial conversation, it's very apparent that you know your stuff. The answers have been insightful,
thank you,
impactful, Chris. So thank you so much for joining us. We're going to take our first quick break of the episode. Our sponsors are going to jump in here and give you guys a message. and we'll be back with Chris Branchetti. Thanks so much. REI Inc. is the premier monthly publication for real estate investors. Dive into a wealth of expert insights and knowledge from industry leaders and gain valuable regional market insights, ensuring you always have the best information right at your fingertips. Visit REIInc.com to elevate your real estate investment game today. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Uncontested Investing. I'm joined by Chris Branchetti, Vice President of BCHH. And Chris, we're at that point in our show. We've hit the first segment. It's the money-making minute. So pretty straightforward here. Is there an investment strategy, an app, a skill that you've developed over the years, or a habit or daily part of your routine? Something that you can share with our listeners that they can take and then put into their daily lives maybe tomorrow, and still maybe over a month's time, or propel them to success throughout 2024. What do you got for our money-making minute?
First, if invest in real estate, and go on to LoopNet, .loop, Zillow, and look for cash flowing assets, gas stations, self-storage, laundromats, and look for seller financing. And if you had to make money today, ask the seller if they're willing to agree to the price that they're listing, and then accept monthly payments for the financing. The second opportunity would be, if you don't have the liquidity or capital for investing, look into the tokenization of real estate. You can get into real estate investing by buying real estate at fractions of the cost, which is tokenization in real estate, known as blockchain.
Can you elaborate on that? Is that sort of like partnering up with multiple investors? How does the tokenization or the blockchain, as you mentioned, how does that work, if you could take that one step further?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. So the tokenization of real estate is an entity owning that asset, and owning that asset and what they'll do is they'll put it out at fractional cost to investors. So you have a $200,000 asset, you have $2,000 rent roll on a monthly basis, and you contribute $2,000. Now you own one share. So just using round numbers. So now, on a quarterly basis, you will see your dividend on that 1% of that fractional ownership.
That's awesome. I love hearing that answer. That's a unique one. People are usually digging into personal experience or their daily lives to contribute to the money-making minute. So an actual strategy there is perfect for our listeners to hear about, because we talk about this a lot on the show. Getting into real estate for some can be a very trepidation. It can have a lot of trepidation within the process, right? Should I do it? Should I take the leap of faith? Is this the right property? Have I done the right amount of research? There's a little bit of paralysis by analysis that goes into it when people are just starting. So I feel like the tokenization is a great starting block and a stepping stone to getting further along in the industry and gaining more success, gaining that initial confidence.
Great for entry-level investors that, like you mentioned, do not have the liquidity or ability to invest. Years ago, I was one of those individuals and always had that desire, passion to invest. So now that brings that opportunity to entry-level investors that you can start out with the opportunity.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you mentioned it a little bit earlier in the episode. What brought us together here was the NPLA conference. So you're somebody that's spoken at conferences, moderated on panels. I'm sure your insight is sought out by a lot of people in this industry, especially after they hear you speak on a panel or something similar. So when it comes to networking and education, how do you rank that as a skill that all investors should have, or industry professionals in general, right? It's so important to step away from the desk every now and again, talk with your peers, make connections, and the education and networking aspect can do so much for somebody's business.
Networking is paramount to what we do. Our industry is a relationship business, but you can have a lot of upside when you're networking. Upside such as introductions to others for opportunity, maybe just learning something from somebody that they may be doing and you're not. So networking there, you can't put a price tag on it. It is about the relationship. And, you can do it from all facets and all levels, but, I think it's very, very important to continue being consistent in networking.
And one step further from the educational perspective, are there any outlets out there that maybe you've used or that you recommend people kind of hop on the bandwagon of and really take advantage of learning more about the industry and not just from a surface level, but actually becoming an expert?
So, the first, being a title industry professional, I fall back on American Land Title Association. There's a lot of webinars and things like that they have from an educational front that's very important. It's been very important in my career. I've stayed consistent with that. Next, I'll refer to underwriter bulletins. I know there's probably a lot of title industry professionals that receive those. Don't delete those, folks. Has a lot of valuable information in those state, local, customary practices. Also, I think they're second to none. National Private Lender Association, month over month, they bring in top high-level tier professionals in the industry and talk about industry trends and really focus that educational piece that really help you. And then, another would be IMN conference, because there's such a high level of executives or individuals that attend, very successful individuals that that's a good place to network and go there for education, to talk to people about what they're doing, how they're transacting business. And then the last, from an analytical standpoint for data analytics, I think the John Burns research in consulting is very good for analytics and data across the country.
Nice. All useful and different. I like how you offered different mediums, right? There's so many ways to absorb the education. So just kind of figure out what works for you and hone in on that. So when we talk about Chris Branchetti, the leader, the motivator, every good leader has that quality in them, right? They are able to have other people achieve success, right? You bring up the people that are around you. So can you talk about your maybe leadership style, what you use to motivate your team and achieve that level of excellence that we talked about that BCH has kind of taken since you got there throughout the last 8 years?
Well, I try to model it after a transformational leadership style, which is, trying to inspire others. I learned a long time ago, look, the standard is the standard, and we're not going to take a back seat or except for anything less than that. I think it's a matter of how can we set the standard, set the goals, have a vision what needs to be accomplished, and then who can we foster through collaboration to have success. I say at BCHH, we've had a lot of promotions from within, which has given individuals that opportunity to achieve success and help people grow. I think that's very important for me to see that. Mm-hmm. I feel that it's just a debt that I have to repay back because of over the years. I've had such great mentors. I've had so much help in being able to grow as a professional. So you just feel that, you have to kind of repay back the debt there and help others.
I want to pivot just for a second if we can. You've talked about mentors a few times now, and I agree the importance of a mentor cannot go unnoticed. What did you do when you were looking for a mentor? Maybe is there some pieces of advice for people that are in the industry and looking for somebody that can provide that guidance? Did you do anything out of the ordinary to attract these mentors to help you? What did that process look like?
So it was a matter of, at the time, we were going through a significant amount of growth, and I'll take this back early in my career. I was with the same, the two mentors that I had, three, but two of the three I've been with I was with for 14 years of my career. Mm-hmm. It was seeking and capitalizing every opportunity that existed there. Ask a lot of questions, right? Worked a lot of long, hard hours to make sure that, again, was exceeding or achieving that standard. Yeah. And sometimes you just didn't know what it was because you would just continue. There was just such a focus there. But I think the most important thing is trying to find things that align yourself with people that know things either you don't, so you can ask and you can learn. And I think then it's pushing yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. I think if you break that down into the simplest form too, it's don't be afraid to ask questions, right? So many people get caught up in their own head. And they think that they're either going to annoy somebody, they don't have enough time to get back to me, I'm not that important. Thoughts like that can be such a detriment to somebody trying to succeed in this industry. So just getting out of your own head and being able to absorb that information. I think the industry gets a bad reputation from time to time when it comes to people needing to do this by themselves, not wanting to share success. It needs to be like, I need to find these leads. I need to secure these properties. I need to be able to invest, and I've got to beat out the next guy that wants it as bad as I do. But when you take a step back, that collaborative effort and the mentorships, those are all pillars that people when they get to that success, it kind of looks like they did it by themselves, but there's so much work that goes on behind the scenes that allows them to get to that level. And the mentorship and the community is definitely what's part of it.
Everybody has the secret sauce, but everybody needs help, right? You're only as good as the people that you surround yourself. So as you are successful, as I feel that I've had a lot of success, again, you always have to look at and thank the individuals that helped you get there, right? That could be through mentorship. That could be because they got into the foxhole with you and rolled up their sleeves as well. So I think that, again, it's about the team. You can be the individual and feel good about yourself, but again, it's about the individuals you surround yourself with and share mutually in that success.
So we've talked about you as a leader, talking about your mentors. There's people out there right now that are where you were when you started in this industry, right? And they want to aspire to reach that level of leadership. So what advice would you give to somebody, maybe just generally or in this industry specifically with the title and settlement services? What advice would you give to somebody that's trying to get where you are?
So with your vision, you have to have a strategic plan, and then you got to diversify yourself, right? You got to diversify whatever channel of business or whatever your service model is. Make sure you have some form of diversification. And then, as I mentioned, you got to have a strategic plan. And then also it's about the execution. How long will it take you to get there? What's required to get there? And how are you measuring that plan, right? So those are the important characteristics that I feel that are important to help that get to that level of success.
That's awesome. The great answers just keep on rolling. Chris, thank you so much. We're going to take one more quick break. We're going to come back with Deal Breaker, Deal Maker, and wrap this episode up. It's been a great one so far, so thank you for joining us. We'll be right back. BCHH, a Stewart company, is a leading nationwide title insurance company that serves institutional investors, private equity firms, private lenders, and wholesalers on various real estate transactions. These transactions can include individual MLS transactions, SFR and BTR properties, small to large-scale multi-state, multi-property portfolio acquisitions, dispositions, securitizations, and rental portfolios. Visit BCHHtitle.com to learn more today. Welcome back to this week's episode of Uncontested Investing. Again, I'm joined by Chris Branchetti, Vice President at BCHH. Chris, up next is Deal Breaker, Deal Maker. Pretty simple here. What causes deals to break down, and what do deals that succeed have in common, right? What can we have listeners out there, real estate investors, what can they prevent so all their deals are successful going forward? Deal Breaker, Deal Maker, go right ahead.
Deal breaker, not listening to your customer, not calling them back, not responding timely, not delivering on SLAs and execution. That will kill the deal every time. And the deal maker, it is a matter of knowing your customer and understanding what's required, making sure you have the appropriate team members, metrics in place to ensure the level of success that's required to achieve.
We've talked a lot about your success today, the company's success, but for the industry as a whole, what do you see the next 5 to 10 years looking like? There's a big digital transformation coming our way. It's already kind of happened, and we're in the midst of it right now, but it looks like it's going to continue for at least the next 5 to 10 years. So what does the title and settlement services industry look like going forward for you?
Yeah, so the digital transformation and automation is here to stay, and you got to embrace the change and look at it as a way to leverage to create more efficiency. I feel in terms of the ability of being able to digitize the real estate transaction process still has a lot of room to grow. But the positives that are here, 2023, the big buzzword was artificial intelligence, AI. And the AI you can use and take advantage of so many opportunities to succeed and excel in your business. Also, data security, I think, is extremely important, something you have to consider and ensure that you have the proper controls in place. And then lastly, blockchain real estate and smart contracts. Nobody's talking about it, not mainstream media. And I think in the future, it will be a way to transact business. It can lower transactional costs. The real estate transaction starts on a ledger. Typically, that ledger will build in blocks the transactional process with different data. And the beauty of the whole thing is the smart contract, where you develop and build the smart contract out. It allows you to remove and add shareholders electronically. You can pay or you can collect rents. You can pay taxes. You can pay HOA. You can do property management through your smart contracts. So that's the beauty of the blockchain real estate and smart contracts. But I just think the data automation is here to stay.
Yep. AI is a major factor in this industry, and I think it helped a lot of people graduate high school and college in 2023 thanks to ChatGPT. But yeah, so circling back to you specifically, in your role as vice president, what are some of your goals or priorities maybe over the next 1, 3 to 5 years while you're at BCHH? I know you talked about the SOC certification, but maybe a little bit beyond that, what are some of your goals going forward for the company?
Well, I believe one goal that's extremely important is, BCHH was acquired in December 22 by SOC Title insurance company, one of the largest underwriters in the country. We're very proud of the acquisition. We're all very enthused with the acquisition. So I think it's a matter of continuing to maintain our market presence on what we do well and execute in the transaction process, working with institutional investors, private lenders, non-QM, and then conventional origination as well. And then, how can we fit into that Stewart model? Stewart has so many bells and whistles and opportunities and programs that we can cross-sell and leverage to achieve opportunity for us at BCHH that would help us be able to continue to grow and be better. So I think, the most important thing is trying to make sure that we pull the acquisition together and everything's successful.
Nice. One important thing I think is worth talking about every episode is someone's passion project outside of real estate. All the professionals that I talk to can live this industry, breathe it. It's 24/7, 365. Real estate, quite simply, dominates their life in one way or another. Is there something that you can point to outside of real estate that you're passionate about, that you feel recharges your batteries, allows you to refresh, take a step back, and then once you're dive back into the industry, you're much better for what you do outside of it?
I say two things. One, selfish answer, love to travel. And I think travel allows that recharge. We're able to disconnect and just kind of enjoy yourself and just get out and experience different things. And the second thing would be family. I think those are the two things there. You spend some time with family, get you grounded, and then you're ready to get up and do it all over again. Yeah. So those would be the two things that I would share.
Both very important. Chris, it's been an information-packed episode today. I'm sure people are going to want to learn more about you, potentially ask you questions, even seek you out as a mentor. Are you available on LinkedIn, social media, BCHH.com? Like, what's the best way to find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn under Chris Branchetti through the search engine there, and I'd be happy to connect with you. And if we can work together, if I can be of any help to anybody that's out there, if there's anything that I caught somebody's attention and they have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out, and I'd be glad to connect.
That's great. You're obviously a wealth of knowledge, especially in the title and settlement services industry. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having you on Uncontested Investing. Yeah. For our listeners out there, thank you as well. Don't forget to comment below your thoughts about the episode. Subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate your time today. Chris, thank you for joining us. This is Nate Zielinski signing off for Uncontested Investing. We'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for listening to Uncontested Investing. Questions about today's episode or the podcast? Email podcast@rcncapital.com and make sure to follow REI Inc. magazine on LinkedIn and Facebook, and RCN Capital on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. See you all next time.